Ta-ta-ta-dam, ta-dam, 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 dam, ta-dam. Hey, it's time for Backstage Plus or Backstage Plus, Backstage Plus, Backstage Plus, which is the straight Q&A, questions and answers. And here is quite a lot. Again, you're using the email address, which is good. That's what it's for. And I don't know exactly. I haven't looked them through, and I answer everything, or everything that I think is okay to answer. Some things might be too private. So here we go. Silvia Bagni, the first time you met Freddie in the most famous interview of all times, when he said, she means at the beginning of it, very hard words about journalists. In the second, after he said that it's not your case and that it would be a great interview. In fact, it was. How have you felt in the deep of yourself when he said to you, I love my job, but I hate people, talk to people like you? Well, I mean, as you rightly say, Silvia, bella Italia, by the way. Ciao ragazzi. I was the nervous young guy who was warned that Freddie Mercury doesn't like filmed interviews or interviews in general. So when he said that, of course, it was like, to me, you know. But the interview developed. First of all, I wasn't shy, and I said, oh, what the fuck, you know. And then the more and more it went on, a relationship built. And you can see at the end of the interview that we were actually, you know, it was quite nice the way we were clicking. It clicked, and so he also later told me when we talked, and it was also the beginning of our working relationship. Don't forget that. I gave the number. I then sent the interview that I edited for television, and the result was that I was asked to direct One Vision. I mean, that's the reality. So it couldn't have been too bad. But he later said to me he meant journalists in general, and he had no idea who I was. Yeah, so I shouldn't take it personal. So, but in the first moment, you guessed right, or you thought right. I was a little bit, oh, okay. I have a question for you about Falco. Why do you think he became so famous in Italy? I think that only Nena with 99 Luftballons made success singing in that language. What do you think he had more than the others? Well, Falco was a world star even when he was playing for 20 people. He behaved like a star. He was a guy who had an attitude, and he learned a lot from watching a lot of David Bowie, who was his idol. He had a good friend who became a filmmaker. Not as me. So his videos were not too bad either. Talking about, you know, Rock Me Amadeus, Genie, what have you. And the videos probably helped also in other countries. The thing is that he even did a young romance. He did an Italian verse, if you probably know. I hope his Italian is good enough. And I think in Italy you like attitudes. You know, he was a cool guy. He played the macho man that, of course, is also known in Italy. But he also made fun of it, which is also known in Italy. So I think Falco was a worldwide artist from the very beginning, and it worked in Italy very well. How do you think Freddie Mercury would live these days of new technology, internet, WhatsApp, live streaming, YouTube? Or do you think he would appreciate it and use those, or didn't he like the new technology? Well, the thing that is also a running gag in my book, I'm telling you something about my book, My Friend Freddie. By the way, you can pre-order. There's now the website, and you can send a check to a PO box. whenever he played me something, which at the time, don't forget, was cassettes usually, music cassettes of his new song or whatever, if we discussed the video, he had problems even knowing which knob to press where is the play button. So Phoebe had usually to come and then, you know, and so I think like me, he would address it. I'm not super gifted, but I think it's important to use the advantages of the technology. That's why I'm also, because of my boys, my two sons, Ruby and Benny, I'm also using the social media and learning by doing. Before I will delegate it to outside, but I'm doing it in a moment myself. So I think he would understand. Freddie was very clever. He was a very bright guy. He was very fast in understanding. I think he would understand the advantages and would try to use it. So Stéphane or Stephanie from France. How do you explain the fact that Jim Hutton is often forgotten or criticized by the public? Well, it's because a lot of people didn't know Jim Hutton, and they are just saying what is in books. Even his own book tends to produce misunderstandings. Because don't forget, he didn't really write that book. He told the stories to a writer who then made it a little bit more dramatic. I'm really writing the book word by word in German and in English. So I don't have a ghostwriter that I'm just telling stories because I think I know how to write. I actually come from the writing journalism. I had very many years a daily column in a very big Austrian newspaper and later a weekly page in another big newspaper. So I know how to write, and I studied journalism. But anyway, so a lot of misunderstandings. What I can tell you is that Jim Hutton was an okay guy, very okay. And I was also in touch with him after Freddie passed. There's this Queen fans already famous German television show where I invited Jim and Peter Freestone, Phoebe, and where we recreated with a hologram the Days of Our Lives video with other musicians, of course. And after that, I also did. I visited him in Ireland, and Jim was okay. One thing I can tell you is that all the rumors and that there was violence, and if you would have known Freddie Mercury, Freddie would have not let anything happen for a second that he wouldn't, as Freddie, wouldn't accept. So whatever happened, and sometimes nobody was present, but just the two of them, and they're both now up there, Freddie was agreeing to it. So, Tony Johnson, USA. I've heard so many negative things about Mary, such as she kicked Jim and other out of Garden Lodge after Freddie passed. Can you share a little bit of what she was like? Well, first of all, I can tell you that not everything, again, is true, what people say about Mary. The thing is that Mary was getting the house. And of course, there was other people living with Freddie in the house for many years, which was Giovanelli, which was Peter Freestone, which was Jim Hutton. And so in order that the will could have been executed and the three of them could get the money that Freddie was leaving for them, they had to get out of the house because Mary had to take over the house in order that this will, as you know, it was completely made clear by Freddie who gets what. And therefore, that was the reason why they moved out. That it was emotional for them, and that everybody probably sees it different if you would have talked to them right after to Giovanelli or to Jim Hutton. I know there's this also story which was breaking my heart with the cats, where he went back, and I think it's in his book, where Jim actually asked me to to write for the German version the preface or an introduction. And it broke my heart at the time. But if I'm also a cat lover, I had at some stage 20 cats in my house in Austria, together with my then long-term partner Eva Tauchen, who was also a cat lover, and we were breeding cats. The cats are with the building and not with the people. It's, I don't know if you know that, but this is please let me tell you, the dogs are more with the people. So if somebody moves out, the dogs want usually to go with this person. But the cats, they have actually the feeling it's their house. They own the house and they let you live there because you give them food. That's how cats usually think. I tell you because I had many of them and I love them. So Mary is, to me, and there's also a very important chapter, also as on Jim Hutton in my book, my friend Freddie, because I think Mary is also seen in the wrong light. I'm not always want to make myself important, and I now tell you how people really. I just tell you what my experiences are with people. My experiences with Jim Hutton and what I saw between Jim and Freddie, my experiences with Mary, and by what I saw between Mary and Freddie. Then, Tony, it's a sensitive question. Oh, from what you've seen, was Freddie bisexual or did he just prefer men? Well, I know the answer, but I'm not telling you because I think this is too private. You know, sorry. This is the barrier where, or this is the thing where I say, yes, I know it, and of people who know it, we discuss it. But to tell it out into the world via the internet, so. Then, Joanne Wolford from USA. Do you believe the story that Freddie and others disguised Princess Diana in male clothes and took her to a bar? I have read that people close to her said that never happened. I have no idea. I mean, it happens now with Queen fans, like it happened also with other fans. Please don't think that I have answer to everything. I'm writing a book because I'm telling you the stories that I experienced and what I know for sure. No second hand or third man or he said, she says. I have no idea. I heard about it. I don't know if it's true. Then we have the opening scene. Oh, Eriko Rin, maybe Japan, judging from the question. In the opening scene of Video in My Defense, Freddy is playing a Japanese toy at the Tokyo Prince Hotel Garden in April 1975. Yeah, okay, correct. I think any movies, an opening scene and closing scene are very important. Why did you pick that particular picture among so many other pictures, videos of Freddy? It's a good question, and there is not, maybe not a satisfactory answer. When I did In My Defense, which was part of my grieving process that I lost, or that the world lost Freddie Mercury, as is my book, is part of another big step of the grieving, of the saying goodbye, of the closing a certain time, which was very important in my life. The time I worked with and for Queen and Freddie Mercury and Brian May and Roger Taylor. Not to forget John Deacon. Hi, John, if you're watching. I wanted to pick things which show the human being. And I wanted to pick famous parts and not so known parts. And I was very, very long, juggling the pictures around and changing it. There's, I think, 12 versions of In My Defense in my archive. Most of them unreleased because the final one was the final one. And this just had a charm. It sort of it had a charm of that it is actually Japanese, and then I mean it, I just sometimes I cannot explain you. I'm as I said before, I'm a musician. Not only that I learned classical guitar, but I'm a musician, and my instrument is the camera and the editing rhythm. Okay, we have a little more. Have you ever met Freddie's mom or dad? His mom seemed such a sweet lady. How could she give interviews about him without crying? I admire her. Yes, of course I've met her. I mean, if you've seen my documentary Untold Story, there is an extensive interview in there. The dad, I met him, but he didn't want to do an interview at the time. He was already not feeling too great. I would agree that she was a very, very sweet person. And but why she's not crying, you would have asked her that herself. Um, and from the Netherlands, oh, Whitney. What was your favorite song you saw Whitney do live? Whitney live was a totally different experience from her studio recordings. She was much better live. Well, I would agree, darling. Um, the 99 tour, which is the heart of my documentary Whitney Close-Up, auf Deutsch Großaufnahme. I saw many, many concerts. I filmed many concerts or part of concerts. I was present almost all the time. And I saw every night a slightly different version and of the concert. But I always saw a Whitney Houston which gave everything. She sang, as we say in German, her heart out. And I was fascinated. And I really saw that this woman wants to please the audience. This was so sad on her last tour, which I didn't film, that but her voice was gone. And 99, her voice is still there. And to me, that was the peak of the live performances. There was great other live performances before that, but after that, her voice unfortunately slightly faded. So yes, I wouldn't pick a particular song, although because there's these two unreleased concerts, which Whitney fans can be looking forward to because I'm do negotiate in the moment that we release at least one of them. One is I don't know, you know it anyway. So there will some Whitney stuff come, and also Close-Up will be released in the United States and all around the world. In your opinion, what would Freddie be like today? Would he still work with Queen or not? He once said to me, "Why kill the goose who lays the golden egg?" This whole story also in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, which I like a lot, and I can congratulate my friends Brian May, Roger Taylor, and Jim Beach, and everybody who was involved. That actually Freddie, that they split up before Live Aid, as you're saying, it was not really. There's an artistic freedom, and because Roger had done 2 solo albums already, and the band didn't split up. And Freddie told me not once, "Why kill the goose who lays the golden egg?" And Roger said, "Well, we can always come back to Mother Queen." So they were yes interested in doing solo stuffs on their own, but that didn't mean that Queen was gone. So if all 4 of them would still want to be, I think Freddie would not be the one who says no. So if there would be Queen, then Freddie would be in it. That's my opinion. Are there any outtakes of Queen videos you directed that you keep in your archive that we haven't seen yet, especially concerning 1991? Yes, there are. If you ask me, they're going to be released? Maybe. Let's see. But if they are released, the first release will be on Rudi Dolezal's Doro TV, which is another reason why you should subscribe and have everybody subscribe. What is your all-time favorite video of the artists you worked with? Oh my God. I can't tell you. This is like, what is your favorite of your children? I can just throw in a few, which are, I could maybe make a top 10 list, not now. But of course, concerning Queen, it's, I'm going slightly mad because there's the most thinking in there. And it was a great collaboration, Freddie and myself. Freddie Mercury solo, it's in my defense, although Freddie was not part of it, but he guided me to do this. Then, of course, Falco, Rock Me, Amadeus. Because it was just a worldwide smash. I mean, in 1986, it was the video which was seen most around the world. I don't know how many millions of times. Then, of course, Bruce Springsteen, A Hungry Heart. And I could go on. There is, of course, from each artist at least one. And of course, then there is Austrian artists and German artists you might not know. There's of course Double Devil's Ball, which you don't know. It's a Swiss band, but it won in Cannes the big award. And then there is of course Rammstein, Enge, which is a fucking great video, which I did together with my partner Hannes, which opened up the door in America. And so on and so on. So I mean, I stopped counting videos that I directed when I reached 3,000, and I did more than that. So it's probably in the neighborhood of 5,000. I would be happy if you are with me and my team every Sunday when it's called Rudy Backstage.
Backstage, all you ever want. Backstage, all you ever need. Backstage, your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave.